So actually that's about going out into local communities and really raising the ambition. Too often we hear of other employment focused models that simply put a call out saying who wants a job, and if people don't naturally engage with it, well then they're obviously not interested. And in my experience, having worked in the supported employment sector for kind of over 20 years now, actually it's a bit more nuanced and a bit more complex than that. Sometimes people have had really poor experiences of the world of work, or no one's ever talked to them about working. So simply asking the question isn't enough. So it's about going out into local communities and really building up that aspiration.
Naturally, supported employment services have a community-facing model of support. So we have to be out there within people's local communities. I often talk to job coaches about the power of being local. You have to sit within your local community. You have to be present within your local community because you represent local people, local disabled job seekers. So by being present within people's local communities, you're much more likely to be able to then successfully engage with those people, bringing the service to them rather than expecting people to then come to your service. So it might be that we go to, say, an adult social care day service to talk about the service, to talk about employment, begin those initial conversations about what work could look like for somebody. So then you're beginning to sort of plant a seed and potentially then raise some people's aspirations that access that service. But equally, you might be raising the aspirations of, say, a support worker or somebody's key worker. They may never have thought that work is achievable for that individual. And just by us going into say that service, having a couple of conversations with one or two people, they then have access to lots of other people within, say, that service or just through their line of work that they could then refer into the service. It's really key for supported employment services to have an active social media presence. You really need to understand what social media platforms are your participants using. So then you can post regular updates on your service, when such as simple information like your opening times or what you've been up to, some of the case studies, so some of your good news stories, some of the achievements of some of the people that have accessed your service, but also what you get through social media. Your social media platform is you've got your direct messaging service. So making sure that you've got somebody within your staff team that is then quickly respond to anyone that's then inquiring about the service and then direct them through to your sort of normal sort of referral routes that might be through your central inbox and sending through the referral form.
So it is about making sure that we have a high level of visibility effectively. So thinking about our referral pathways, the two ways that individuals can enter the service, and making sure you are engaging with both of those in the appropriate way. So thinking about attendance at key events such as careers events, job seeker events, having things like increased engagement at certain times of year. So for example, with education leavers, around Easter time, you'd be thinking about increasing engagement within education as individuals start to think about what their next steps are. For referral teams or professional teams, you might be thinking about attendance at team meetings or other events, referrals, thinking about whether joint meetings are appropriate for introductions, making sure key updates are communicated so that you're building the relationship and remaining present and on people's minds as much as you possibly can. And then thinking about sort of the self-referral route as well. So particularly careers events, making sure you have a website for one, that the website is up to date, making sure you've got materials that can be handed out to job seekers, whether that's business cards or leaflets with key information. Always having information in different formats, being aware of language that's used, colours that are used, photos that are being used. The guidance available for the accessibility standard is really useful in terms of understanding what that platform can be like for other individuals. We like to take feedback and make adjustments on our website, as an example. We've had it in the past before where we've had sort of larger font We've had feedback from individuals that have tried to use it anywhere that they found things that may have been difficult or they think could be a bit easier. So really listen to that feedback. Using co-production to create and review materials is enormously helpful. But also making sure that you are regularly updating that. So whether that's once a year, we do that in-house, and we do that sort of peer reviewing to make sure that information is, one, still up to date, and two, still compatible.
You also have to look at how information is accessible. So we're not just talking about, you know, a document or some marketing material being an easy read. It's also about it being accessible from a person. So how is that person then gaining that information? Whereabouts is that information available? We have to take that information out to people. So it might be that there's a certain local group that goes on within a village hall that lots of people access. Well, let's get ourselves into that, into that area, into that space, and then provide people with that information.
So meeting face-to-face or meeting virtually, depending on what format is most convenient or most appropriate for that individual, and thinking about physical accessibility of those face-to-face, actually being able to get into the building, but able to get to the building as well. So is it accessible by bus route? Is it in towns? Is it on a safe road if somebody is walking in? So really taking time to think about the journey from the job seeker's perspective. We try to aim to be as flexible as possible and being supportive of that to our referral partners. So they always have the information they need from us, and having key contacts within certain teams so that you can go directly to for information, making sure they have a really clear understanding in terms of what's needed to make a referral, where it goes to, and what are the expectations once that referral is made. So how long will it take you to contact somebody, and what kind of key stages can they expect once that's done? And making sure that referral form isn't too arduous. And then the rest of that you can get directly from the individual, where you're more likely to, where there's less likely to be barriers. We like to provide further guidance wherever it's needed. So for some individuals, you can send them the referral form and that's absolutely fine. They can send it back. For other individuals, there may be barriers, whether that's literacy, whether that's not having access to a computer at home, or not wanting to fill in the paper form. So just taking time to find out what their needs are and making sure that the referral form itself isn't a barrier for someone to access the service. So sometimes for us that can mean doing the referral form for them.